This is TWiT.
Hey there, I'm Mikah Sargent. Look, as a geek myself, I feel it's only fair if I admit something. We can be kind of hard to shop for. So what do you get for that geek in your life who has everything already? Well, a Club TWiT gift subscription, of course. TWiT podcasts keep them informed and entertained with the most relevant tech news podcasts available. With a Club TWiT subscription, they're going to get access to all of our podcasts ad-free, exclusive outtakes, behind the scenes and special content, and I love this, exclusive shows like my own Hands on Mac and Hands on Windows from Paul Thurrott, as well as the Untitled Linux Show. So purchase your geek's gift at twit.tv/clubtwit, and they will thank you every day.
All right. So if you've gone to any big concerts recently, or maybe you've bought tickets for an upcoming concert, maybe you've noticed there's something maybe perhaps peculiar about the price. I mean, the price of everything is just going up. So it's kind of no surprise that we would see the price creeping up on live event tickets as well. But there's something behind the scenes that I think is really interesting about this story that we're going to talk about. Jason Koebler wrote about this for Vice and has some kind of background insight as far as why some of these prices are increasing. So let's talk about it. Welcome to the show, Jason.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah, great to get you back. Appreciate your time. First of all, so we've got a lot to touch on here, but it's in the headline. You started off your article kind of focusing on Blink 182, which personally, before I saw your article, I had no idea that they were getting back together on a reunion tour. So there you go. But
big
talk
news,
about
very exciting for me personally.
Is it? Were they a big band for you? And you're definitely going to be there.
Never seen them. So yeah, like many other people, did not get tickets yet, and am resigned to paying a lot of money.
Yeah, right. So, okay. So what is it about Blink 182's reunion tour that prompted you to write this article? What's going on here with the price of tickets? What does this say about Blink 182 and Ticketmaster?
So basically, yes, Blink 182, favorite band from my youth, announced that they're getting back together with their original lineup for the first time in like 12, 13 years, something like that. Announced this big stadium tour and put the tickets on sale. Anyone who's bought tickets in the last few years probably has been maybe confused about what it means for tickets to go on sale, because there are like rounds of pre-sales. It's like you're allowed to buy tickets early if you are part of a band's fan club, or if you have a specific credit card, or if you subscribe to a specific newsletter. So there's really like 4 or 5 different on sales. But basically, people went to go buy these tickets. And normally when you go to Ticketmaster, there is a set face value of tickets. It's like, okay, tickets on the floor, like in front of the stage, are $80 or $100 or what have you. Tickets in the nosebleeds are like $60. But that wasn't the case for Blink 182. People went and tried to buy tickets, and basically Ticketmaster has implemented something called dynamic pricing, which uses an algorithm to sort of detect demand for a specific event. And because Blink 182 is very popular and hasn't played any shows for a long time, the demand for this event was really high. And so you had some people like going to buy tickets, and, you know, the value, the price that they were being asked to pay was like $600, which is a lot of money to see a punk band. And so people were really mad about this. It's like, you know, people were making a lot of jokes like, "What's my wage again?" Because, you know, one of their favorite or one of their most popular songs is "What's My Age Again?" Things like that. So people got really pissed. And then I got really pissed as well, because I wanted to see them. And it's like tickets to see them in LA start at like $170 and go up to $250, which is not as bad as it is in other places. But last time they played in LA, the highest price tickets were like $70. And granted, that was 10 years ago, but even if you account for inflation, it's like, this is far beyond inflation. It's like 3 times as expensive as it was 10 years ago.
Indeed. Now, I think what I found really interesting about your write-up about all this is, you've got some insight into what it means to be a ticket reseller, as you put it, which in my mind is kind of like, okay, that's a ticket scalper, right? Like on the consumer side of things, how many times have I gone to Ticketmaster to buy tickets only to find out that, like, A, the tickets are ridiculously expensive, the ones that are even remaining, the VIP seats that I'm never going to buy, and B, so they're all snapped up. And the only way for me to actually go to this thing is to buy through a reseller site, which is essentially fueled by all the people who went in there, scooped up all of the low cost tickets, let's say, and now they're selling it for more. I think what I found so fascinating about your article is I never really considered, like, I'm always stuck in the angry part of that, which is like, damn it, why did they do that? They're making it so that I can't go see this show without spending an arm and a leg. But at the same time, you point out that this really is kind of supply and demand, right? The bands or the promoters, whatever, they're selling their tickets for a certain price, but obviously the public, at least to some degree, maybe not the outlandish degree that they end up being sold for, but the public, there is value there for the public to pay more because they're paying it in order to see these bands. Talk a little bit about that.
So it's both like a really complicated story because there's a lot of things that go into why ticket prices are so expensive and sort of how ticket brokering works and who is mad and how, like, ways of mitigating it. But it's also a really simple story in that it's straight up supply and demand. As you said, it's like there is a limited resource here, which are seats at a concert. And there are usually more people who want to see the concert than there are tickets. And so that drives the price up. That drives the price up on the secondary market. And that's how, which is your StubHubs, your like SeatGeeks, increasingly Ticketmaster is allowing people to sell tickets, like resale tickets on their own site, which is its own problem. And Ticketmaster has gotten in trouble for this before. But it's like, there's both speculation going on from ticket scalpers, which you mentioned, and it's like, I agree. Many ticket brokers prefer to use the term ticket broker, but to the average person, it's just like, it's ticket scalper. The reason I don't use that too much in the article is because we've gotten feedback that that's a problematic term at this point, like for indigenous people, or has of like an association there. But like to the layperson and traditionally, people have called this ticket scalpers. And it's like, there's been an attempt by ticket brokers to rebrand as ticket brokers because it sounds less bad, but
more legitimate. It sounds more legitimate. Yeah.
It sounds more legitimate. And it's like, but fundamentally what they're doing is they're buying tickets that could have gone to fans and they're selling them for a profit. And these people had literally nothing to do with making the concert happen. It's like they did not record the music. They didn't release the music. They're not a roadie. They're not selling merch. They're not associated with Ticketmaster or Live Nation. It's just like so many other things. They sort of took a risk in investing in the tickets and then they're speculating on them and hoping they can sell them for a higher price. And it's like, this is a pretty sophisticated business, which I get into a little bit in the article, but from my own experience, it's like there's many companies that do this. There's a lot of people who sort of like dabble in it as a way of making beer money. And then there's, on a whole other level, there's like companies that have bots and things like this, which is a whole other part of the sort of ticket economy that makes people very mad. But basically, like, the ticket prices are high because there are more people who want to see the concert than there are tickets available for the concert. That is true sort of under the old system, and it's true under this new dynamic pricing system as well. And we can get into like sort of what the difference is now.
Yeah, and I think that's what's really really quite interesting to me is that you made the point that if a ticket reseller, there we go, I gotta like reframe myself here.
Yeah.
If a ticket reseller is selling it, that person had actually nothing to do with the concert, the music, whatever. They're just taking the money off the top. At least if it's integrated into the system and there's extra being paid, at least with this new system, one would hope, because it's officially legitimate, that more of that money actually goes back to the artist or goes back to the people who are actually making the show instead of just lining someone's pockets who's, like you said, just scooping up a bunch of these and hoping that something comes out of it. So talk a little bit about that dynamic pricing then, because that really seems to be the counteraction to this. And is it actually making a difference as far as this activity, this ticket reselling activity that's happening behind the scenes?
Yeah. So under the old system, let's say tickets were priced at $50 on Ticketmaster just for simplicity's sake, but it sells out really quick. There's a lot of people who want to see a given show. It's like the tickets go on sale at 10 a.m. That's traditionally when they go on sale. It's like a bunch of fans get on at 10 a.m. They click, I want 2 tickets, search for the tickets. It's like a certain number of those fans are going to get tickets for $50. If you get lucky, it's sort of, I've done this for lots of things. Lots of shows I know are going to sell out. It's like a popular artist, a small venue, something like that, a reunion tour. Like the shows that sell out are like not really a secret. It's like everyone knew that these Blink-182 tickets were going to be hard to get. So let's say under the old system, it costs $50. A certain number of those tickets are going to also go to ticket scalpers or brokers, and they're going to go post them on StubHub. And the people who did not get tickets in the on sale are going to pay whatever the market is willing to bear, basically. And that might be $100 a ticket. It might be $200 a ticket. It might be $300 a ticket. And so the band and Ticketmaster are still making, the fees and whatever this sort of margin is on that original $50, but the rest of that value, the rest of the profit is going to the ticket scalper. Under the new system, dynamic pricing, Ticketmaster is sort of anticipating using some algorithm that we don't know all of the inputs, but presumably include like historic ticket sales combined with Spotify plays, combined with sort of the genre and the last time the band played and so on and so forth, to basically predict what the ultimate price people are willing to pay on a ticket is. And so instead of pricing that ticket at $50, they're pricing that ticket at $200 to begin with. And in doing so, they're sort of like cutting out that excess value that is being captured by the ticket resellers, and basically everyone is paying that price. And so instead of having a handful or even a majority of fans who are getting tickets for $50, everyone is sort of paying that scalper price, more or less, of $200. And this is nominally like not necessarily a bad thing, but I can understand why people are really mad about it, because all of the people who would have paid $50 because the tickets were sort of fundamentally underpriced for what the demand would have been are now paying that $200. And presumably a large portion of that is just going to Ticketmaster. It's like Ticketmaster fees have been a thing that people have complained about for a really long time. But it's like now Ticketmaster is capturing all of that. And presumably like some of that money is going to the band, which is a good thing. And it's specifically a very good thing considering the pandemic and the fact that like 2.5 years of live shows have more or less been canceled. And that's been really hard on bands, but it's also been really hard on bartenders and roadies and merch sellers and sound guys and so on and so forth. So it's like, in theory, that should be more money for everyone involved in putting the concert on. The big question is like, all of these things are extremely tightly held industry secrets. And I don't have any reporting on how much of this sort of additional price is actually going to the band and how much of it is going to Ticketmaster, and whether any of that is trickling down to like sort of the working class people on these things. So ostensibly I think it's a worse system for fans themselves because everyone is paying a higher price and no one can sort of like get lucky and get inexpensive tickets. But it's better for bands if the bands can sort of withstand the negative publicity that comes from everyone being mad that it costs at least $200 to go see a band that had its heyday in the early 2000s.
Well, and you also later in the article talk about Garth Brooks, who has a different strategy here that I actually like a lot, because I think in the end, if a band is willing to do what Garth Brooks has done, then the band seems to make out, pretty well because they're selling tons of tickets, and the fans seem to make out pretty well because they're paying a lower cost. Talk a little bit about that. I thought that was fascinating.
So basically Garth Brooks has a system where he just keeps adding shows until in a certain city until everyone who wants to see him has the chance to see him. So for example, like he'll play Omaha and he'll announce one concert and that show will sell out in a few minutes because Garth Brooks is really popular. And, the ticket brokers will buy the tickets and try to resell them. But the second it sells out, he'll just add another show the next day. And he'll do that until the show stops selling out, basically. So he'll play like 7 nights in a row in Omaha or something like that. And this has a dual effect, actually, of like, basically everyone can buy face value tickets, but it also screws over the scalpers. And the way that it screws them over is like they are speculating on and buying tickets and expecting to sell at a profit for something that ultimately like the secondary market drops out because there's so many tickets available. And the way that he makes so many tickets available is I'm just going to play shows until my tickets can't be sold for a profit anymore. And it's like, he's Garth Brooks, so he can do that. I think for a lot of other people, it's like, are they able and willing to play 7 shows in every town that they run through? It's like planning a tour is really complicated in many ways. It's like you have to make sure that, the nightclub is open on that night, like that they can schedule you and so on and so forth. And it's like a lot of bands can probably sell out like one show, but they wouldn't be able to sell out a second show. And it's like maybe the 930 Club in DC doesn't want this band to play 5 nights in a row. But for someone like Garth Brooks, or I think Blink-182, it's like Blink-182 has added a couple of shows. And I think adding shows and just like increasing the supply of tickets that way has been one of the most effective ways of combating scalpers.
Yeah, interesting. I'm realizing what this reminds me of is earlier this year, I had tickets to see Paul McCartney, kind of a bucket list item for me. I was like, what? I got to see Paul McCartney. I got to see one of the Beatles before he's no longer touring. Finally got the tickets and everything. He added a second show here in the Bay Area for a Mother's Day show. And I ended up getting COVID earlier that week. Our whole family did. So I couldn't go to the show. I basically had to give the ticket away. Like there was no way for me to you know what I mean? I'm not a ticket reseller, but I was in the position where I had this ticket that I thought was valuable. And essentially I had to take a total loss on it in order to just find someone to go, which is amazing when you think about it for someone like Paul McCartney. So, it's got a lot of like a myriad kind of trickle down effects as far as all of this is concerned, but I'm fascinated by the topic and I really appreciate you coming on and sharing your insight on this, whether people like it or not. If you want to watch go see a concert, you're probably going to be spending a little bit more. And I suppose the benefit or the positive there, if anyone is looking for that is, hey, if you like your artists, hopefully this means that more of that money is going to them. But I'll be looking forward to the reporting that actually proves that, because I'm super curious about that as well.
If
Jason,
you have any top secret documents, please find me. I'd love to see them.
There you go. Find Jason Koebler at vice.com. And actually, if they want to DM you with that information, where can they find you?
So I'm at Twitter, Jason_Koebler. My name's right there. My signal is on Twitter. So
right on. Cool. Well,
thanks so much for having me.
Thank you, Jason. Yeah, I hope you get to see Blink-182 this time around. I hope it happens.
I will. I'm going to pay too much, but I will.
Yeah. Good. Yeah, make it happen. Sometimes it's just worth it to pony up for the experience. So, all right. Take care, Jason. We'll see you soon.
All right. You too. Thank you.